Everybody up out there, I hope y'all having a wonderful and prosperous day today, man. We is about to get straight up into it. Welcome to the Fans Point of View podcast with your host, the most unknown known podcast, and it is up out there. Dominic dead on his ground, one day out of time, TruckinChubbzy, aka Clarence Hampton III. This is not your coaches and pros, the X's and the O's. This is the fans' point of view and what I know. So let's go. Okay. So I want to start this off by saying shame on all you ignorant sports writers, shows. Dan Libidar, I don't know what's going on with y'all show, but y'all was absolutely wrong on the take that y'all had with this child. Hope that y'all heard the message. I know everything y'all do ain't bad, but this was just horrible. Leave kids out of it. Racism is taught, y'all. It's not something that we're born with. That's something is something that's taught. And shout out to all the parents who don't teach it. Start teaching your children to pick friends of all colors, don't matter who they are, based on if they have their best interest at heart and if they're a good friend, not because of the color of their skin. This child and the day he had with his father at the Chiefs game, when he got to wear the headdress that was in his family, will forever be ruined because of adults and their ignorant ways. Y'all may be able to walk back y'all comments and what y'all said, but he will never forget the aftermath of going to a game with his father with a headdress on. He is probably looking at his father and saying, well, Daddy, I wish I never wore the headdress. Or Daddy, can I take the headdress off? Can we just go back up there and they could take some more pictures so people could forget about it? He's 5 years old. I gotta remember this. He's 5 years old. The heartbreak that family must be facing right now, and the problems and the trauma that 5-year-old will ever be facing because of the ignorance of adults. And we supposed to be leaving stuff like this out of sports. Shame on y'all. That's crazy. Shame on y'all. So to his family, the young Chiefs fan, and everybody else from the TruckinChubbzy show, I want to send good vibes, send prayers. And little man, you always welcome to come up on my show and talk Chiefs football with your headdress on and with your face painted exactly the way it is right now. All right? All right. Why didn't it work in Colorado? From left to right on your screen, you're seeing right now everybody that was at Colorado, and these football players are still there. Kavase Smoke will be graduating. Okay, he's in the blue, Kentucky, right there. Alton McCaskill played for the University of Houston in the red and white. He's still up there at Colorado. Charlie Offerdahl is from Littleton, Colorado, and he is in the Colorado uniform with the rock. Sean Lewis is the coach you see on the screen. Kavase Smoke played for Kentucky in the SEC, decided to jump in the transfer portal. He was a beast. He was sharing carries with Rodriguez. They was tearing the SEC up, running the rock hard. Kavase Smoke know that they was about to go in a different direction with him because he didn't have the performance that he needed at Kentucky. However, he goes all the way up to Colorado to go ahead and play special teams. Didn't care about it and everything else. He had some things to say, but I'll get up into that. Alton McCaskill had a great freshman year up at University of Houston. Ran the ball very hard, got injured, rehab back, came back up to Colorado, went up to Colorado with Deion, and he just didn't touch the ball a lot. A couple of times Alton McCaskill did touch the ball, he was going off. Charlie Offerdahl, the running back you see, number 44, I talked about him before. He's a total beast. He was always tearing it up at practice. Always tearing it up at practice. Hard to bring down. Was arguably the best practice player on the field besides Dylan Edwards. Dylan Edwards broke a lot of plays at practice. At least once at practice, one play at practice, Dylan Edwards was taking one to the house. Large gains. That's why he started, okay? But according to Coach Prime, when he said that If you ain't showing up at practice, you shouldn't be on the field. Charlie Offerdahl should have absolutely gotten a lot of carries because he was tearing it up at practice, whether y'all want to admit it or not. And they used him a lot for short yardage gains. And he ran very tough and he played very strong. I like the way he ran. To be honest, he was one of my favorite backs on the team. You know what I'm saying? Him and Kavase Smoke was my two running backs that I thought that would see a lot more on the field. To be honest, Charlie Offerdahl, Kavase Smoke. Honestly, but Offerdahl was tearing shit up. No slight to Savion Wilkerson or Anthony Hankerson, or Dylan Edwards, but y'all all seen the field. They didn't see the field enough. They just didn't. And there should have been multiple backs for Colorado with over 300 yards this season. 3 running backs, at least 3 of y'all this season should have had over 300 yards. That's just me. Whatever. Anyhow, it didn't work up there because they didn't stay more consistent with the run. However, I know that Sean Lewis he spreads the field out with his offense. He likes tall wide receivers that block on linebackers. Some people don't think that wide receivers should block linebackers. You can't be scared to block a linebacker or shield a linebacker. At least, you know what I'm saying, pick them, throw a pick or something. You know what I'm saying? Just don't let them run free. Anyway, that hurts the offensive line. I wouldn't even as far as saying that the offensive line was soft as teddy bears on baby's bed, whatever. I did say that. And they didn't deserve that for criticism because now that I've sat back and I watched a lot of the film, like when you keep calling pass plays, the defensive line get to pin their ears back and just come straight at your offensive line. They got a shield. They taking on the attack. When you running the ball, they get the attack. They get to go and hit that person, get their get back. They didn't get their get back enough this year. They just didn't. It's just a fact. They didn't run the ball a lot. All right. And on some of them busted up screen passes and them short yardage passes that they were supposed to be throwing, Shedeur held the ball, didn't throw it because it wasn't there. Gotta throw them short routes. You gotta trust the ball. He held the ball a lot of the times and it didn't help. A lot of that didn't help. It didn't work in Colorado, his offense, because the disconnect of him and Shedeur became apparent after they lost and blew that lead to Stanford. He was the man up there. A lot of things worked. That offense was putting up a lot of points. It was scoring and everything. He was the man up there, right? Gets demoted. And that's all because of your dad being the head coach up there at Colorado. If Coach Sanders is not the head coach up there at Colorado, Sean Lewis does not get demoted in the middle of a damn season. You supposed to have told your son, tough it the hell out. You and Sean sit down, figure this shit out because y'all been putting up over 30 points a game together. Figure this shit out. You know what I'm saying? We got beat on by Oregon, but figure it out. Sit down, talk it out. Y'all differences, say what y'all need to say to each other, but make sure y'all have communication with each other. He wasn't communicating with him at all. He was not communicating with his OC. His OC would walk over to him. He would just walk away from him, disrespectful. That's part of being a young man. That's part of the immaturity of not being a full-grown man at that point. You know what I'm saying? Not able to deal with confrontation. Because that's immaturity. Because not all the time when. And what do I mean by that? Let me go into that a little bit, just a little bit. When you're young, you don't know how to handle confrontation with another man. When you're a mature man, an all the way man, there's no such thing as confrontation. I'm going to say something that you're not going to like. Your response, I'm not going to like. But then what do we learn from that? What do we learn from having our differences just now? To being able to talk that out and say and move our way. You know what I'm saying? Not just total disrespectful walking away. When you're doing that to your coach and you're not willing to sit around your coach and your coach ain't coming around you because of your attitude, that's a problem. That is a problem. The intimidation factor of your dad being there, that is a problem. It's a problem. Your dad been following you since high school all the way up through college. You really ain't had to deal with nothing else or the other things that other quarterbacks have to go through because of your father. And that's just the fact of the matter. And it's sweet. It's not jealousy with somebody speaking on things like that. It's not that you're hating because I'm speaking on something like this. I'm speaking like this because it's a fact. It's a fact. This is college. You have to be able to be coached by somebody else. You have to be able to spend time with somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Bring him in, tell him what you see, exactly what it is. Did you ever go to Sean Lewis and tell him the problems that you had with the offense? Did y'all ever do that? No, it don't look like y'all did, because it showed on the field when you would sit down, when you would walk away, stuff like that. Pay attention. People said that Sean Lewis was jealous because he didn't get credit for the offense. Of course he got credit for the offense. He was not worried about that. He took things on the chin. Look how he took the demotion like a champ. Whatever. Never, still didn't say nothing negative about Coach Prime. But anyway, I'm gonna play this little small clip real quick, and then of his interview, and then we can get back into it, because this is absolutely important to me. It was. Listen to it. All right, so when I played,
what did you take away being under Deion Sanders and what he brought to the table, and what are you going to do with that and bring it here?
Yeah, I mean, Coach does an unbelievable job of telling the story, right, of giving unfiltered access, and I think that's a beautiful way to tell the stories and the uniqueness of love, right, that the individuals, the people.
Still didn't have nothing negative to say about him. Still didn't. But like he said, one thing is a fact that Coach Prime he does a good job at telling stories. He's a great salesman. He's gonna tell you a lot of things and everything else, and you gotta be to sell tickets and everything else to the games. And I know it don't have nothing to do with it. I'm gonna jump back into it, but what I'm getting at is that he sold a lot of players. He sold a lot of players on getting playing time and coming up there for certain reasons, and a lot of things didn't work out. A lot of it just didn't work out. It just didn't, y'all. Period. And a lot of them see the BS. To me, a lot of the 20 to 25 recruits dropping out is because I don't think that he's going to be up there in Colorado past then. I believe he's going to follow his kids to the NFL. He followed them anywhere else, everywhere else. I mean, it's hard to believe that you're not going to follow your kids. And if you don't, then, I mean, look, big ups. Like, I think he should stay at Colorado. I think he should stay at Colorado football head coach up until he wins a title up there or something. You just can't walk away with things are. And if y'all think that his next year's season is going to be a national championship, then think again, because it's not going to be a national championship. It's not. But Colorado will do a lot better. They will progress year in and year out. You know what I'm saying? But the 4-8 season is not a success. As much as they was doing bumping their gums and the hype that came around it, and I know the media had a lot to do with it. We all had a lot to do with the, them being upsold and everything else. But that is not a success, especially when you win the first 3 games and then you just go on a losing streak that you went on. That is not a success. Your team went downhill. Whether you want to put it on Pat Schumer, you can't even put it on Sean Lewis. It's Pat Schumer. After he got demoted, you might as well let Sean Lewis finish the season and work out their differences and sit down, figure it out, because the offense was booming. It was booming. And then it just stopped. The best showing of it, of course, was probably the TCU game. And then you seen some things in the Nebraska game. But then you seen Shedeur gain more confidence. And he did check out of some plays. He checked out of enough plays to the point where they said, okay, Sean Lewis, we're going to run this. I'm going to run that. Now, he didn't hit the receiver he was supposed to hit a lot of the times, too, because he held the ball. That didn't help the offensive line either. That's just look, y'all. He's not supposed to be perfect. He's a great football player. But my question is, can he be coached by somebody else other than his father? Or will his attitude get in the way? Sean Lewis he's a great man. He has a great character to himself, to the point where I don't think he's really going to sit there and say these things about Shedeur. But if you read in between the lines, y'all, you can see it. You can actually see it. Selfish ball, Cavassier Smokes tweets out. Why is it selfish ball? Why is it selfish ball? Why are they playing selfish ball? Why? What does that mean? Well, if I ain't getting this pass play, I ain't blocking. That's selfish ball, ain't it? You know what I'm saying? People not being in the right spots because they not getting sacks. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta figure, when Dominic gets sacks and he gets pressure and gets back there and free like that, and he making a tackle, that means that every defensive lineman hit their gap You know, the 3 technique did what he had to do. The edge did what he had to do. The linebacker filled the hole perfectly. When you see a linebacker read the gap, read the hole to the point where he's able to go in there and make a clean, good hit, that means that all the defensive linemen did their job. They all filled their gaps appropriately. When you see somebody run a kickoff back, that means that somebody ran outside of their line and did not they didn't follow the line downfield, went outside the gap. That's what selfish ball is. Everybody did not show up to play. And a lot of that blame went on the offensive line. It did. They did not run the ball enough. He checked into some passing plays a lot of the times. That shouldn't have been passing plays. They should have ran the ball a lot. But a lot was Shedeur. And that's the way Coach Prime sets it. This is for Shedeur. We got to get linemen for Shedeur. Like, you know what I mean? You don't say stuff like that, bro. Like, even if it is, like, I mean, like, come on, bro. Like, all right, you need me for your son? You need me to come block for your son? Well, then you need to pay me twice as much as the school. Like, come on, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, you don't say things like that out in the public. Like, there's some things you know what I'm saying? We know the offensive line is to protect Shedeur. But it's not what you say sometimes, but it's how you say it, right? Right? Correct? You know what I'm saying? And how you say that and how you go about things is like daddy ball. Even if he don't want it to be there, it's like that. It is. Especially when you cut your OC in the middle of demote your OC in the middle of the season, you know. And San Diego State know that Sean Lewis is a great offensive mind. They know he's a great coach. They know that. You had a great coach underneath you. A great coach underneath you. And y'all let it fold. And then y'all brought Pat Schumer in and said, oh, he's going to work so great. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. Like, you don't know what they're going to do. They got a great, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to 6-0 Academy. Matt McChesney runs that and everything, you know. He got a whole offensive line academy where he works with a whole lot of offensive linemen throughout the whole Power 5. They're placed in schools everywhere. Transfer portal has him there. The offensive line is the problem. You don't bring him in as a consultant to try to come and help with the offensive line at all. You know what I mean? Going after big names might not work. The offensive line was the problem, right? But it wasn't the whole problem. People were out of place, running the wrong routes, forgetting their routes because they wasn't studying like they should have been. But if you don't study, then you don't see the field, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not dominant on one side of the ball, you don't see the field, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of things came into play up there. There was a lot of delusion up there too. And you know, and when I say that, it's nothing to do with everything, but you know, sometimes I get sidetracked as far as Travis went. But Sean Lewis is a great head coach, man. Great head coach. He's a great head coach. He's a great offensive coordinator, great mind offensive coordinator. All he had to do was focus on that. You gotta grow up sometimes to be a man to handle that. He was a leader with an L on his chest. He took that to heart, and I just don't see how it didn't work, because his offense was number 3 in the damn nation, even with the record that they had at Kent State. Quarterbacks who are nowhere near as talented as Shedeur Sanders is, number 3. And you get a Shedeur Sanders and your offense don't work. Come on, man. Sean Lewis is going to he'll take the whole blame for that. But Coach Sanders, you got to take blame for that, and so does Shedeur. Period. There was a disconnect there. That should have worked. That should have been a dream scenario, because in Sean Lewis's offense up at Kent State, 5 different running backs touched the ball, all had stats. 8 receivers touched the ball, all had stats. All of them blocked all the time. 3 tight ends, all had stats, and all of them blocked. Even if they couldn't block, they still should. And now they didn't make all the blocks. They did the best they can, but when they came to playing them big schools, them big schools will pitted on them. But they stood up and they fought. No, let's not forget, he was there at Kent State when they started off 1-4. They lost to Georgia, They did get beat by Georgia, but everybody was talking about canceling Georgia because Georgia didn't blow Kent State out. They didn't. That defense at Kent State was the problem. Sean Lewis's defenses was the problem. His offenses were never the problem. Never the problem. And now he got that fixed up there. I'm excited to see what he's doing up there at San Diego State. Y'all, thank y'all for rocking with me. Fans Point of View podcast, man. That's all I got for y'all today. Make sure that y'all tune in at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow for my full live show. We're going to get into some things. We're going to talk about football, everything that's going around the sports. When I'm going to get into basketball and stuff like that, man. So make sure that y'all there for that show, man. I appreciate y'all rocking with me, man. Peace out. Bye-bye.